Well, good morning, Marie. And how are you this fine Sunday?
Good morning. I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing dandy. I'm not hungover or nothing, so it's a good day.
That's good.
Did you go do anything last night?
I sure did. I went and I sung my heart out at the karaoke at the French Club. It was a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun there.
Now, after you were done singing, did anybody ask for your autograph?
Oh my God, they were asking for me to please leave. I'm tone deaf and I sing with gusto.
Hey, so you were singing with all the passion and power in your heart. That's just how
you
should,
know it,
right? That's what karaoke is all about. That's too funny.
It's fun.
Mm-hmm. All right. So we'll wait till we got a few more viewers on here, and then we are going to start the show with a little video, as you know.
Yes.
But for now, we are still waiting. There's a lot of people maybe hung over today because we all celebrated Veterans yesterday, Veterans Day, and and we all should have been celebrating it. So for now, we will. Good morning. Let's see. Good morning. Thanks for tuning in. So we've got a great show planned for today. Lots of information. It's action-packed. And as usual, it's full of truth. Good morning, Miss Margie. All right. So we're going to start off with a video. This video is of Michael Cooper. He's a member of Parliament. And we're going to listen to what he has to say about
a little tickety talk for you.
A little tickety talk. So hold on.
Yeah. Thanks to Russ Green for sharing that too.
Yes, thanks, Russ Green, and we appreciate the help. All right, so we're going to add this guy onto the screen. See what he's got to say. Let's unmute him. Rewind it back.
Yep.
Pause.
And this is Mr. Cooper. Is that what you say?
Yeah, he is.
He's the NDP, or is he? No, he's conservative. I believe he's a conservative leader.
He is. He's MP.
You were the CEO and are the CEO of, received almost $220,000. Your company, in which you were the CEO and are the CEO of, received almost $220,000 from SDTC, approved by the board.
The board sought legal advice on how best.
So this is Annette Vercheron from the Vercheron Technology Center attached to CBU. She's been accused of fraud and forgery, okay? And told that she's been fleecing Canadian taxpayers, all right? So this is, me and Marie have been asking questions, sending emails, and want to know more about the Technology Center, the Vercheron Technology Center, for the last couple of months. We have a couple of shows with Dave Dingwall, with New Dawn that we did, and they kept bouncing back to these same different organizations as we went. So let's just listen to what Michael Cooper, the Conservative MP, has to say. And when they talk about the SCDT, that is the, we'll tell you about that in just a minute.
And you moved the motion to funnel that money out the door, didn't you?
Legal opinion
from who?
Was then received with no conflicts.
Who provided the legal opinion? Osler. And was Mr. Van Veen involved in providing that advice? Vandenberg Rapper?
Yes.
He was.
Yes.
Ms. Sharon and Ms. Lawrence, I think you really need a refresher on what conflict of interest really means. And quite frankly, Mr. Vandenberg, being a member of the Ontario Bar, certainly has responsibilities as a lawyer to understand what.
So this man is the Governance and Management of Sustainable Development Technologies Canada. All right. So green technologies, which is everything that the Vercheron Center stands for. And she's a part of a lot of green technology companies across Canada. And she actually sits on the board of the Sustainable Energy Development Technologies for the whole country. And she's been stealing.
What a conflict of interest is. Not actually an actual conflict, which this clearly is, but a perceived conflict. And in fact, he was paid for this report as well. So to both you, Ms. Lawrence and Ms. Vercheron, how much was Mr. Vandenberg paid?
So if I could correct some assumptions there, Mr. Brock.
Okay.
How much was he paid?
First of all, the Osler
Ma'am, how much was he paid?
If you would let me finish.
No, I'm asking the question, ma'am.
Mr. Brock, Mr. Brock asked the question, Ms. Lawrence. If
how
you
much
could
was
answer
he
his
paid?
question and then and take some time afterwards?
I don't have that information. I
She
think
didn't
what's
have the
Can you
information.
table the information as to how much he was paid?
We
Yeah.
can do that, of course.
He is a partner at that law firm. There is a conflict of interest procedure and policy in every single law firm.
Yes. and it
He
was
should
followed
have
in this case,
declined
sir.
that because they're not the only national firm in Canada.
Yeah.
All right, they may
know
have a
is
good
that
reputation, but they're not the
Professional
only firm.
practices were
So
followed,
I
sir.
want to know how much Osler was paid for this report. I want to know specifically what time Mr. Vandenberg put into the report. And I also want to bring to your attention Section 16 of the Canada Foundation for Sustainable Development Technology Act, which prohibits members from receiving remuneration for that type of service.
Mr. Vandenberg.
So thank you for that. I'm asking questions. I'm not asking for any editorial, ma'am. I am not, this is my time. Ma'am, this is
I
my
can't believe
time.
it. It's like,
Don't steal my time, man. It's mine.
I have the
Mr.
floor,
Brock.
ma'am.
and he's right.
Ms. Lawrence, I have the floor.
Mr. Brock,
I asked the
Mr.
questions.
Brock, you have the floor. Ask the questions, please. Ms. Lawrence, we're try to keep it to one person talking at a time.
Understood,
Yeah,
Mr. Chair.
thank you, ma'am.
Mr. McConaughey is on record saying that I said confronted you, and you admitted that when Osler did their investigation, it was raised to their attention that they weren't religiously documenting conflict of interest. You went and did the retroactive documentary, documented retroactive declarations that she should have made at the time. She didn't disavow it or anything. The grant report also confirms that this was done on the advice of the corporation's external legal counsel. This is criminality. This is fraud. This is forgery on the Canadian taxpayer. This warrants a
Thank you.
police
Thank you, Mr.
investigation.
Brock.
This
Got
is staggering.
Thank you, Mr. Brock.
So why that was sent to us is because they are not wrong. It does warrant criminology and charges because they are literally known at the Verschuren Center to help with grants. That's all they do is they work through organizations, nonprofit organizations through grants. They apply for grants. They help you with grants. It's all about grants. Now they're being told by the member of parliament and, you know, they're committing forgery and fraud. So that is alarming because that money is supposed to come here to help us. But again, as me and Maria has been stating, is we've got a bunch of community organizations working together to ensure that the community fails. And the plan is to keep the struggling community struggling. And we're going to tie this all into a pretty little bow for you today because we've got all our ducks in a row. And as you know, I love me a good duck, right? Okay, let's go ahead and go into the first article that we have on board here. So that lady that they were talking to in the last TikTok was not just Annette Verschuren. It was another lady by the name of Leah, L-E-A-H.
Leah Lawrence.
All right, so this, after that video hit TikTok and they were accused of forgery and fraud, well, she's resigned. So let's go ahead and see what the whistleblowers did to, you know, help her forward in her job. So clearly when the truth is out, people don't like to face the truth and they resign. All right.
Yes, I mean, I can't blame her. I mean, I don't even know that she was the one that was so much at fault as she's holding the bag. She's holding the bag for the month. So head of federal green fund targeted by whistleblowers resigns. The president and CEO of a federal foundation with $1 billion to spend on environmental technologies has resigned after her organization was the target of a whistleblower complaint earlier this year. In her letter of resignation as the head of Sustainable Development Technology Canada, SDTC, Leah Lawrence said her departure was prompted by growing criticism of her organization. Given recent media reports, House of Commons committee testimony, and the surrounding controversy, it is clear there has been a sustained and malicious campaign to undermine my leadership, she said in a letter to her board of directors. This compromises my future ability to lead the organization and puts me in an untenable situation, and I want to see this organization succeed. Right? Lawrence defended her management of SDTC since 2015, which saw the foundation fund a growing number of women-led companies. I look forward to a new chapter, one that will focus on continuing my work championing improved governance, corporate transparency, and integrity, she said in her letter. Under its current agreement with the Federal Department of Innovation, Science and Economic Development, ISED, SDTC has $1 billion to distribute to small and medium-sized enterprises in the clean tech sector between 2021 and 2026. The amount is set to increase every year, reaching $320 million by 2025-2026.
Now wait, freeze right there. So
Yeah.
amount of money, all right. Annette Verschuin, we're going to show you, is one of the head of this sustainability development technology for Canada. Head
Yeah.
of it. And to have that much power and control, 320 million is going to be what's coming into it over the next few years to come. Now, we've already demonstrated and showed you what David Dingwall did when he was in control of all this money.
Yeah.
We keep going back to Dingwall and Annette is because they have been in a very close-knit working relationship.
Yeah. They're working in tandem against us, basically. If you feel the way we feel about it, it is what's happening in our mind, in our heart. We know what's happening.
We do, because the Technology Center, the Verschuin Technology Center, was at one time part of CBU. But they found out from all of their little schemes that they like to hatch is that if they broke it apart from CBU, it would double their study and grant money by 2. So the university could apply for the study, or the Verschuin Center, Technology Center could apply for the study and the grant, and then all of a sudden their money's doubling. They're already getting money that they're saying they're doing projects and focusing on things for the community that have done nothing but help themselves and pad their own bank accounts or up salaries for people working for them. So we already see this is what we've seen, and I'm so happy whoever it is that watches Marie and I's show and sees the time and energy we put together so that we can show you exactly what these community helpers are
Absolutely. I'll be right back.
helping themselves is not doing anything for us. Okay. So again, they're all tied in together, and we're going to be bringing New Dawn and showing how they all glue into the same puzzle piece, and they all work together to make sure that the grants and the studies and all this money that comes in to help with new technology, all it does, we never see anything that they've promised. So the first thing that happens is they put in for the grant money, they put in for it, and then they get the money, and then once they get the money, projects just seem to fall off the scope of the earth. I mean, once the money's in the bank, the project's done on their end, or at least so what we've seen, because their actual deliverables for what they've got money for is pretty dismal. Okay, so if you want to carry on, there, Marie, you were at the 320 million by 2025. You're on the green funded.
I hope I can't seem to get this out of my throat, guys. I'm sorry.
Oh, you keep breathing, and I'll go ahead. Gather yourself. All right.
Yes, if you wouldn't mind, Dan, I gotta have to.
You get a drink.
Yes.
Don't worry about that. Go worry about
I'll be
yourself.
right back.
Okay, breathe. All right, so Marie is catching herself and getting her wind back in order. So as revealed by CBC last week, a senior federal official sharply criticized by the foundation senior management in conversations that were recorded without his knowledge in recent months. Imagine recording a politician and they don't know about it. How dare you? That makes them super uncomfortable, especially when it's played for the public to hear. All right, so in his comments, ISED Assistant Deputy Minister Doug McConaughey, however he wants to pronounce it, said the government had lost confidence in the leadership team at SDTC, which is Sustainability Development Technology Canada. All right. Lawrence's resignation comes after the government received a complaint early this year about the management of public funds and human resources within the SDTC. So they've had whistleblowers from the inside, and that's generally how it happens. The employees who are paid very little see the employees being paid way too much, and they're overseeing all the paperwork on these projects that seem to go nowhere. They get the paperwork is filed, the money comes in, the project dies. And they see that on repeat, and that's where they start blowing their whistles, because they're thinking, I'm going to be tied into this. And they're usually generally what we like to call the fall guys of the teams. All right. Unfortunately, that's what happens. The less you get paid, the less of value you are to that company. And they need people like that so that they can point the finger at and say, no, it was all their fault, when we really know whose fault it was. Okay. So In response to this complaint, the government commissioned an investigation by the firm Raymond Chabot Grant Thornton, which identified problems with management of conflicts of interest and problematic spending within the SDTC. Problematic spending. I wish they could have elaborated more on that. Let's see where else it goes, because that in itself seems quite problematic, especially when they're spending taxpayer dollars. Okay. The Office of the Auditor General of Canada announced last week it's launching its own special investigation into SDTC spending. So with that being said, they're saying forgery and fraud's going on. That's some pretty heavy words right there. Let me know when you're ready to come back and take over here, Marie.
Woo!
Okay.
I'm dying, guys. I'm sorry. I can't get I got COPD, right? And I'm just dying here.
All right.
Woo!
You control yourself. I'll get to the end of this article. All right.
Go for it. Go for it, girl.
Before a parliamentary committee on Wednesday, SDTC Chair Annette Verschuren was sharply criticized for her role in approving $217,000 in funding to her own firm. Can you imagine? You work for a public company that is given money from taxpayer coffers, okay? And she literally approved $217,000 to her own company. Now that's what they were talking about in the TikTok video, is this conflict of interest. So the conflict of interest is you don't get to decide that you get to keep all that money for your company. That's wrong. And there's no integrity. And there's how you make a decision like that is I don't understand how you're able to sleep at your pillow at night when you think you're doing so much for the community at large, when really you're making your bank account grow, not the community develop or any of these projects that you've taken the money for. All right. So she was criticized over that. Okay. Yeah. Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre called for Verschuren's firing in the House of Commons on Thursday. He wants her fired from that position. But the scary thing is that's the head position for sustainability for the technology in all of Canada. This is green energy, green technology.
Yes.
This is the only thing that she's involved in. She's involved in several other green technology companies. We're getting to that. All
yes.
Right. The scandal surrounding the Prime Minister's $1 billion green fund is only getting worse. Okay, so there's $1 billion. There are so many of these little companies, and they all are ran by the same people in a lot of cases, and they're doing the same thing on repeat. The only thing that's changing at the top of the grant is the company that they're tied to at the time. So they just got to keep peeling off that company, pasting in their new company, and each different company that they have is getting pieces of this pie. And this pie is our pie. We made and we put this pie together.
Yes.
I'm not sure who that is, Marie, but anybody who can add input into this story and add more juice to it, go for it.
Yeah. Well, please do, because we're only two people trying to figure it out as we go. But the things that we have been figuring out are coming into the news daily. It feels like now. It just seems like we were right on the right track all along. We knew what the heck was going on, but it was a bit of a shock.
Yeah.
I think for both of us to say, oh, there she is. She's actually being taken in. This is exactly what we thought should be happening. We couldn't believe it was actually happening. It's unfortunate it was the Conservatives, but whatever way they got to find them, I don't care. So, peel the layers off these people.
They're just like an onion, and the more you peel off, the more complex and hard to believe it is. Until your eyes start crying, then you're at the level we need you to be at. It's like, wow. So yeah. Verschuren said she acted based on legal opinion, said that she did not have to rescue herself or recuse herself. She told MPs on the committee that all companies with existing agreements with SDTC obtained similar levels of funding during the COVID-19 pandemic. So that tells me is we need to be looking at every single one of those companies that they received the similar funding to. And just like I said, peeled the name off, copied and pasted a new company name, because at the end of the day, the bank accounts where these monies get funneled into end up in the same spot, ironically. Ironic, not ironic. All right. Yeah. Took advice from my lawyer, Verschuren, told MPs on the committee. I received legal advice, and I think that was the proper approach. Depending on who the legal advice is coming from. Sounds like the legal advice was coming from, what did they say? A conflict of interest, which is not good in the legal community, as you know. So Verschuren has been sharply criticized by Liberal and New Democrat MPs. Conservative leader called for her to be fired. The scandal surrounding the Prime Minister's $1 billion green fund's only getting worse. Not only did the whistleblowers compare this fund to the sponsorship scandal, and we all know how bad that was.
Right.
But the chair of the fund also directed $200,000 in taxpayers' money to her own company. So she's the chair and she's directing money into her own company like it's her money to do as she pleases. You know, reminds me of somebody else. But
Yeah.
you put gum on there. I'm entitled to my entitlements. All
Yes.
Innovation Minister Francois Philippe Champagne said he took the necessary measures after receiving the complaint against the SDTC. I guess we've got Francois Philippe Champagne to thank for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So next is we expect the highest level of governance from all agencies that receive funding from taxpayers. We'll continue to get to the bottom of this situation, he replied. So that's the end of that article there, Marie. You feeling like you got your lungs
I'm good.
back?
I'm good now, guys. I'm sorry. If I don't blow my nose, I'm verklempt. All right.
Well, don't be sorry for your,
Sorry, I'm almost dying, guys. I'm sorry. All right. So next is at MP's Grill. Is this the one we're doing next?
This is the next one we're going to do. Yep. Let me
All
add
right.
the link. Go ahead.
MP's Grill Federal Green Fund Chair who took part in decision to grant her own firm $217,000. In July, government official compared grants to the sponsorship scandal. So, the chair of the board at a federal green fund has acknowledged that she participated in approving more than $200,000 in grants to her own company. That news emerged from Wednesday's meeting of the House of Commons Ethics Committee. MPs on the committee had some pointed questions for Sustainable Development Technologies Canada board chair, Annette Verschuren, who is also chair and chief executive officer of, I don't know how to say it, NRStar, Inc., a Toronto-based energy storage firm. I think we mentioned them before, like a few, yeah, right? So as SDTC's chair, Verschuren participated in approving grants to NRStar, totaling $217,000 in 2020 and 2021. The grants were part of the federal Green Fund's efforts during the COVID-19 pandemic to send money to companies with existing funding arrangements with SDTC. SDTC is a federal foundation that provides more than $170 million per year in grants to small and medium-sized businesses in clean technology sectors. Verschuren said she received an annual salary of $120,000 from NRStar, in addition to her remuneration for her role at SDTC.
Wow, and this isn't even including any of the money that she gets from the Verschuren Center here that's attached to CBU. So her money channeling paths is quite incredible, and I think once they really investigate her further, we're going to have some more shocking news for you. Go ahead, Marie.
Her fingers are so far-reaching. It's crazy to me now. Like, I didn't really consider it to be this, but I mean, we kind of knew, but this is something. Okay, so questioned by MPs, she said she didn't have to recuse herself from the grant decision because NRStar was part of a group of about 100 companies that received the same levels of additional funding from SDTC during the COVID-19 pandemic. I took the advice from my lawyer, as she said in the other article. Verschuren told MPs on the committee, I received legal advice, and I think that was the proper approach. Verschuren said her company did not receive preferential treatment because SDTC provided nearly $40 million in special payments during the pandemic. We were very afraid that we were going to lose the investment that we made and the jobs, she said. SDTC is in turmoil after being targeted last month by a whistleblower complaint and a report that found problems with governance and management of public funds at the foundation.
Wait,
Several
hold on.
MPs.
So
Yeah.
freeze here. I just want to go into our team at NorthStar. So let me just show you
the NR or North Star team. Like, I can't stand how they give these companies these names that I can't pronounce. That ticks me off too.
So the NorthStar team, okay, let's just look at it here. The very first person we see is Annette Verschuren, and she's chair and CEO, okay? So right off the bat, reread that last thing that you read, that last article again, Marie, that last paragraph.
The SDTC is in turmoil after being targeted last month by a whistleblower complaint and a report that found problems with governance and management of public funds at the foundation. Several MPs criticized Verschuren for getting involved in the decision to give grants to NRStar. NRStar.
So
NorthStar.
She's the head of the SDTC, the Sustainability Technology Development for Canada. She's the head of that, and she's being looked at for giving money, unnecessarily or too much of it to another company that she runs. Does anybody else see a problem here with this? Because the government finally has. Thank God.
Finally.
Finally.
All right.
All right. So go back ahead to that one again.
Okay. Pardon me. The MP claims company received preferential treatment. NDP MP Matthew Green said her decision constitutes at the very least a perceived conflict of interest, if not a very real one. Could you not appreciate why the perception to the public, the taxpayers who are watching this, hearing the discrepancies in that line of reasoning would see this as a problem, he asked Verschuren. Green said her testimony raises more questions than it does answer. So Conservative MP Michael Cooper described the situation as incredible, as do Janet and I.
Yeah.
Your company received preferential treatment in the sense that you sat on the board and provided money to it, he said.
Right.
Liberal MP Pam Demoff said that with her decades of experience in the business world, Verschuren should have known better, which is, again, common sense to me. Yeah.
So here's the thing. Who does that remind you of? It reminds me of when we did the articles on Dingwall. I mean, this is the same thing happening. It feels like, you know, we had a new mayor, and the new mayor reminds me of the old mayor. Now we had Dingwall, and he had a whole decades of performance that was horrible, and this one is finally now under the microscope because she came under our radar somehow, Marie.
But you know what? You know what's I find interesting though, Janet, because he is a member of parliament at one time, right? So they didn't go after him. They don't go after him, but they went after his somewhat partner, kind of, you know, partner in crime almost, Verschuren, a woman who's not in parliament. And if anybody was going to take the licks and the boots for this, it was going to be a woman who was not in parliament already, right? They couldn't go around saying Dingwall, who was once, you know what I'm saying, don't you?
I do. The one thing that he didn't share with her was how to make sure that he always kept the squeaky wheel was always clean.
I think he just made sure that, like, you know, if anybody was going to be holding the bag, it would be her always. I think that is what's going on here, really. But anyway, common sense to me would dictate that you would question the legal advice and out of purely best practice, recuse yourself from that. She said that was Pam Demoff, right?
Yep.
Who'd said that. So Verschuren, the former president of Home Depot Canada, insisted she is satisfied with her actions. I find that interesting. They threw that in there too. You know, it was considered an operational issue, she said. The ethics committee also heard testimony from Doug McConaughey, an assistant deputy minister at Innovation, Science and Economic Development, ISED, who oversaw the handling of the whistleblower complaint against SDTC this year. There's a lot of sloppiness and laziness. In his opening speech to the committee, he railed against the fact that the whistleblowers recorded their conversations with him without his knowledge and provided the tapes to Radio Canada. I was extremely naive to expect that my good faith conversations with the complainant would remain private, Ms. McConaughey said. I never expected my remarks to be used out of context to reinforce a narrative that is not supported by independently verified facts. I was too transparent, too trusting, and I deeply regret any impact this has had on the government, SDTC, and ISED. In a conversation with the whistleblowers that was recorded earlier this year and made public, McConaughey criticized SDTC's management several times. There's a lot of sloppiness and laziness. There's some outright incompetence, and you know, the situation is just kind of untenable at this point, he said on the recording. The minister is going to flip out. In a conversation with a whistleblower at the time, McConaughey predicted a fiery reaction from Industry Minister Francois-Philippe Champagne once he was briefed on the SDTC report. The minister is going to flip out when he hears the stuff, and he's going to want an extreme reaction, like shut it all down, predicted McConaughey. At the end of July, McConaughey criticized SDTC's decision to award nearly $40 million in grants during the pandemic. It was free money, he said, comparing it to the controversy that damaged Jean Chrétien's Liberal government in the early 2000s. That is almost a sponsorship scandal level kind of a giveaway. On Wednesday, McConaughey told MPs his comments did not represent the views of other officials who worked on the file. I was baited into making these speculative and inappropriate remarks, he said.
Oh, God, please.
Like let's just blame somebody else for what I say, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, guys, before I start coughing on you again. All right. Where am I, Jen? Okay, according to STC.
Yeah, or
Yes,
underneath the picture.
In their own testimony before the committee, senior SDTC executives attacked the credibility of the government's investigation of the whistleblower complaint, which was led by Raymond Chabot Grant Thornton, RCGT. I appreciate that because that's a big mouthful word, a name. According to SDTC President Leah Lawrence, the firm ignored key information and made numerous errors when writing its report. Our organization has played by the rules, improved the rules, and achieved results for Canadians. My leaders have acted ethically at all times. I stand behind our track record. I'm proud of it. I am proud of the companies we've helped to succeed, she told MPs. She added that while there's room for improvement, at SDTC, the investigation did not reveal any cases of misconduct.
How is there no cases of misconduct when you're clearly taking money that you shouldn't have? That sounds like a big case of misconduct.
It's not been made yet, but hopefully it will be made, right? Like I'm assuming it will be at some point, I'd hope. SDTC has been directed by the federal government to implement a series of reforms and resume funding companies in clean tech sectors. The Office of the Auditor General announced last week that it has launched its own investigation into the Foundation's management of public funds.
So here's what's interesting, that second last sentence. The SDTC has been directed by the federal government to implement a series of reforms and resume funding companies in clean tech sectors. When is the last time any of us has ever gone to any of these clean tech sectors and asked for any of the deliverables? Anything showing tangible, actual evidence that they've done what they've said they were going to do and where the money is that they've gotten and what have they progressed? Where is their progress report? How are we giving them money into this never-ending account of funds that just keep going, you know, like the Energizer Bunny? But where is all this clean technology that they're developing? Where is it? We already have solar. We already have windmill. We already have water power. What technology are they making that's requiring all this funding? Why is there no talk of it? We already know that electric cars are a complete scam. All these lines stuff going on. There's literally millions of these cars in warehouses over in China just sitting there because of the big rebate program. And then people can't even get enough, they can't get their vehicles charged enough to go on any long trip. It's like problem after problem after problem after problem. We're destroying the earth so that we can make the earth greener. Yeah, okay. Anyhow, let's go into the next article because I can go on for
I know, right? All right. So it on or
repeat that again.
The solar garden one?
Yeah,
is this the one?
And I'll supply the link.
All right. So solar garden to power affordable living on Old Sydney radar base. So this is where some of the money has gone. Federal money to create what some are calling Nova Scotia's first net zero greenhouse gas emissions community. Now, don't forget, this is an article from 2021, right?
Lots of time.
They've had this money for a long time.
Lots of time to get her done. That's right.
I love the beautiful photo they show. I hope everybody will click on that link and take a look at that. An array of solar panels is set to go up at a former military base in Sydney, Nova Scotia that now houses Pine Tree Park Estates, an affordable living community run by the nonprofit New Dawn Enterprises. The solar garden will power all the homes and buildings on the site, cutting greenhouse gas emissions and making life even more affordable for residents. New Dawn President Erica Shea said the 700 kilowatt project will cut people's energy costs by a third. It will make a big difference for the residents here, she said. Their energy expenses will fall substantially and they'll be much more stable and predictable over time than they've been for the last decade. The former radar base operated from 1954 to 1991 in Sydney's Whitney Pier neighborhood. It includes 28 houses, a home for people with disabilities, and a curling club. All the buildings are being upgraded with proper insulation.
So
what's that?
Right now, again, we want to refocus everybody. July 12th, 2021, this article was written. This is over 2 years plus since they've put in and been approved and got the money. And let's see how far the project has gone with over 2 years. Okay. Over 2 years. Let's see.
I know one thing they did, they got their heat pumps or what have you in there, but that's about all I've heard. All the buildings are being upgraded with proper insulation and are being retrofitted to convert them from oil heat to geothermal or ground source heating with the power supplied by the solar garden. New
solar
Dawn
guy.
bought the property, right? I don't know. I've not seen it. New Dawn bought the property just after the turn of the century, but some of the soil around the homes was contaminated by home heating oil. The federal government eventually agreed to remediate the land and compensate New Dawn and the residents. You can take a look at that link and see how much New Dawn got for that. It is now putting in $1.8 million for the solar garden. To
Mhm.
have the next chapter of this property be one in which we are able to eliminate oil from the 80 acres is pretty meaningful for us, Shay said. New Dawn plans to build more housing on site, and there's room to expand the solar garden. We know that as we're building new affordable housing where we control for rents, if we can't control for energy costs, housing is still out of the reach for way too many members in our community, she said, which is true. All right, the Verschuren Center for Sustainability in Energy and the Environment at Cape Breton University is overseeing the solar project installation.
Isn't that funny? So this is another project we've got the Verschuren Center attached to with a 1.8 million price tag on this one, and we have yet to see a single thing they've done except the money. They've accepted the money to do the work, but the work hasn't been done. Because can you imagine? We've got email exchange of what the excuses have been given of why the work hasn't been done. Wait till we get to those goody tidbits. Go ahead.
Okay, so Beth Mason, the center's CEO, said the geothermal systems use electric heat pumps, allowing the community to become the province's first net zero greenhouse gas emissions community. Half of our individual energy consumption is heat, particularly in the northern climate like this. And so you have to electrify that to be able to then go net zero, she said. There are net zero communities built from scratch elsewhere in Canada, but none that involve so much retrofitting of old buildings, Mason said. As a complete retrofit of something of this age to go net zero is quite an obstacle and, quite an achievement, she said.
Oh, please.
The solar array will feed electricity into the Nova Scotia power grid when it's sunny and draw from the grid when it's not. Okay, Shadow, because geothermal is a constant source of heat, the power grid is like a second backup after the solar array, Mason said. The electrical grid is probably the least reliable in that picture, she said. The Verschuren Center will also monitor the system, and researchers will use the data to design and build other solar power systems.
Will they ever?
Scientists will also be working on energy storage to provide another backup for the solar array, Mason said. Federal funding announced. Funding for the solar garden was announced by Cape Breton Liberal MPs Mike Kellaway and Jaime Batiste, with the money coming from the Atlantic Canada Opportunities Agencies and Innovative Communities Fund, and Environmental and Climate Change Canada's Low Carbon Economy Challenge Partnerships. Yeah. Kellaway said the project will eliminate 14,300 tons of greenhouse gases, equivalent to taking about 4,400 cars off the road every year.
Oh, yeah. If only they were bringing in more people so that they have double the amount of cars. There wasn't 4,400 taken off the road. There was about 9,000 added to the road. And this money went and there's been no return. So let's go ahead. Let me get into the email exchange here and see what information we got when we asked directly about what's going on with that project. So hold on here.
I found it really, I was glad to hear from them. It took a while, I believe, if you notice the date of when I was finally answered, but I find it really interesting that it's like not as worrisome to other people as it is to us, that like this money is just gone. It's gone. I don't know where it's gone. And when you try to, like, I was trying to look at how much would it cost, right, to retrofit. And when I came up with the numbers, I mean, I'm just Googling crap, right? And just trying to figure it out from my way of thinking, right? But it seems to me they were given an awful lot to complete nothing at all. That's all I'm going to say to that.
Right?
Yeah.
So hold on here and stop sharing that one. Bring up the email exchange. So I'm loading that now. So I'm not sure which particular order these are in, but we're going to add them on as I have them here on the screen. Okay. So these are emails that Marie sent directly to Pine Tree Estates, and the person who responded back was Dean Chalmers. And Dean Chalmers is, he's associated with them in a high capacity. What was his role there, Marie? He's with
I was just going to say.
renewable energy. He is with the Verschuren Center. Okay, we're gonna get. I'll put his credentials in here once I get through them again.
Yep.
All right,
Yep.
so you go ahead and go through your email chain.
Oh, look at me. I can't go through it. I can't see it.
Okay, so it's October 17th of this year. Good afternoon. This is Marie writing to them. Okay, I'm hoping to learn if the solar garden is operational in the Pine Tree Park Estates. I'm interested in finding out what kind of success you have had. Thanks in advance, Marie St. John. So Dean Chalmers, hello, Marie. The solar garden is not yet online. It is under construction. The solar garden, it is under construction, scheduled to be online by the end of this year. Now, I'm not sure why he said that, because we've seen zero work up there that would relate to anything being done. He says the wet summer slowed the site preparation quite a bit. I apologize if I should know who you are, but I can't place your name. Success can mean a lot of things. What is your particular interest? Cheers, Dean. Okay. So it's October 18th. Marie replied, thanks for your reply. My interest is in housing, grants, and how they are supplied and used toward housing. I'd seen an article in regards to government money being used to help out the Pine Tree Park Estates. Please see below. And Marie sent him a link on cbc.ca News, Canada, Nova Scotia, Solar Garden, Affordable Living, Sydney radar base. Has the funding been given yet? How long does it take to receive it? I see there is more funding to be given as well, Marie asked him. So I have great interest in how the federal and provincial funds are divided out and came across this project, as well as others, and wanted to reach out for any information you and others may be able to give me in order to enlighten me on the process and timelines for money received. Okay. Back in here. Sorry, don't know what happened. Remove that one off.
Oh my. Kitty, stop.
Went.
Oh,
So technology works. Yeah. All right, so hold on. I'll get back on track. Me and Marie send a lot of information back and forth to each other.
Oh, you wouldn't believe.
Yeah, the computer doesn't.
And this one was like doozy.
Yeah. Scrolling through to them. Sorry, guys. Just be another minute.
If I had it on my tablet, I'd be a lot more help to you. I'm sorry about that. I should have thought of that.
That's all right. Just sometimes it works great, and then other times not so much. The point of it is Dean Chalmers was not able to provide any information that was helpful whatsoever to Marie.
We'll actually we'll put it in the comments for you guys so that you can read through it, because he does answer, but the answers aren't suitable for me. I mean, like, really. I mean, the questions I was asking, I guess, were too much.
No. So sorry for delaying getting back to you. It was October 27th. I suggest you look at this. Other answers below in red. Okay. So caution, this originated from outside of the organization. Do not click links or open attachments unless you recognize the sender of the known content. Thank you for your reply. My interest is in housing grants. So just to be clear, this project is not, strictly speaking, a housing project. No new housing will be produced, but it will reduce the costs and emissions to the existing community. So Dean Chalmers is telling her that it's not creating new housing, but it's going to reduce the emissions that the current housing has. But yet they got that funding so that they could put in solar panels and make it into a greener technology. But they didn't do that. And as for the heat pump, Marie, did all those units get retrofitted with heat pumps? Because he didn't really seem to offer enough information to.
I believe at this point they are. The thing is, that does not take up all the money that they've received, and the money that they received, no matter, I just can't believe that, like, we're sitting here still wondering where it all went, because nobody seems to really want to tell you exactly, because it's like none of our business. They act like it's none of your business, you taxpayer. Why do you want to know where these grant monies are going? It's none of your business. Well, it is our business, because how the heck are we supposed to ever figure all this out? Right? As taxpayers.
Exactly. So we've got one more article that I'm going to share in here. And this is Government of Canada announces support for the first net zero energy in the community. And this again ties together. And here, I'm going to pull us off on here. I want you to see a picture that I keep been covering and uncovering. So we will have Now, in case you're wondering who and why we showed that picture is David Dingwall with the person from the New Dawn, and we'll read who their names are because it wouldn't allow me to save it all in one shot, of course. So it's
Right.
New Dawn in partnership with CBU, in partnership with the Verschuren Center, in partnership with Meals on Wheels in the New Dawn, which is ran by New Dawn. So it just goes to show that all the money goes to the same pots all the time here on the island. So every time it looks like something great is happening for Cape Breton, something great is happening for one of Cape Breton's charitable, nonprofit, private, public.
Private. Non for private, public, profit. Like, it doesn't matter what it is.
New Dawn is a not-for-profit. You try and find where all these public dollars, all these taxpayer dollars are going to. And you know that you can't. You're not able to look at their books because they have their books locked away from public eyes. Now, all the money comes from, it initially, all their seed money came from the public, but they don't want the public to see exactly what they're doing because it's none of our business. The only thing that's our business is how much they can take from us, and what they do with it is up to them, according to them. And I mean, they seem to have the same philosophy as Dave Dingwall over there at the university. Same philosophy, what we're learning here at Net Verschuren has with the green technology, the Verschuren Center for Technology. So the more we give to these people, the less that's being done here. And the government keeps saying, wait, we're giving all this money to Cape Breton. Well, they're giving it to Cape Breton's finest of their friends' partnerships. So if you're part of that group, you're not getting a buck. And you can go without, we'll walk over the homeless. Look, we don't mind. They don't care exactly the state of affairs going on around here or any other community across Canada. If you're not in their group, you're not getting anything. Okay, so we'll carry on.
The poverty of us is the business of them. Let's face it, right? Like, us being poor is a cycle that's keeping them rich. They keep getting the funding. We keep getting shafted. And I think people have to start standing up and realizing this stuff, calling people out on it. Stop just saying it behind closed doors to one another. There's no point talking to each other. You need to be talking out loud. So everybody's talking about it out loud together. So things are done. Like what's happening right now with Annette Verschuren. Being pulled in like that was a start. It's a start. So this little article here is the Government of Canada announces support for the first net zero energy community in Nova Scotia. So, New Dawn Enterprises and Verschuren Center collaboration supports emission reductions and energy cost savings for residents. July 12, 2021. Clean technology solutions are playing a bigger role than ever in our economy, creating new businesses, opportunities, and helping communities and businesses reduce their carbon footprint. That is why the Government of Canada is supporting Atlantic Canadian organizations in their important work to reduce pollution and create a cleaner, stronger, and more competitive economy, making the places people live more affordable by cutting energy waste. Today, the Government of Canada announced approximately $1.8 million in funding to New Dawn Enterprises and the Verschuren Center for Sustainable and Energy and the Environment to help produce clean electricity and energy savings for the residents of Pine Tree Park Estates. The announcement was made by Jaime Batiste, Member of Parliament for Sydney, Victoria, on behalf of the Honourable Melanie Joly. What? I don't know how to say that name. Sorry, guys. Minister of Economic Development and Official Languages and Minister responsible for ACOA, and Mike Kellaway, Member of Parliament for Cape Breton Council, on behalf of the Honourable Jonathan Wilkinson, Minister of Environment and Climate Change.
So we have ACOA, another Atlantic Canada Opportunities Agency, which was opened after ECBC, which was another organization here, Enterprise Cape Breton, the ECBC. Do you remember we did the scandal on that? The government, the federal government shut it down because it was sending out money and had all kinds of...
it was crooked, just like these guys, They were caught. And so now they made a brand new little...
Atlantic Canada Opportunities Agency seems to have the same people behind it with the same goals, giving the same organizations the money. It's just they changed the name of the federal program. So it doesn't matter until they take the players off the board and stop allowing them to manipulate every government program that's in place around here. We're not going to ever see change. And our grandkids are still going to be fighting the same fight if we don't change the way politics is done. We need Politics has to be done. We need to be able to rule ourselves. And honest to God, if we don't change this system that is plaguing the entire country, matter of fact, plaguing the entire world, change
Yes.
needs to start somewhere. It needs.
Yes.
Cape Breton is a pretty noticeable little place, and I'm personally thinking that it's going to be something that needs to happen here, so it can be showing the rest of the world on what we can do when we commit to
Yeah.
change.
We
Yeah.
should be the pilot project, in all honesty. I mean, Iceland, pretty much, we never hear about them, but they're pretty successful in what they do. They're not a part of the whole world's forum of everything. You never hear about them, do you? But
No.
they're doing very well, and that's because they freaking well take care of their own. They take care of themselves, and they make sure that they're investing in themselves, right? They don't worry about the outside bankers and all that crap. They're like, we have to worry about us, what's on our piece of land. And that's how they did it.
And the people are ruling themselves and making the decisions, the citizens. Is that right?
That's right. Well, you got to read about Iceland a little more, because I'm not going to get into the whole politics of everything, but I love what they did. I love the fact they got rid of their bankers. I love the fact that, yeah, it's a different system than what we do here,
Yeah, and we need different. So I am on running for mayor and making things different in Sydney by allowing the public to be the voice. And there will be eventually, how me and Marie went into our show of public ticks, you're going to see those plans put into place so that the power is to the people, not to people I'm reporting to, because the only people who will be reported to will be you. You will be the people who make decisions. You will be the ones that decide which company gets the bid. It will be something that has never been done before in Canada, let alone to start from a place called Cape Breton. But yeah,
right. I think we do need something. We need to put out like a, I don't know, a little plebiscite, right? We have to do something about this. We have to really try to look at a new way of forming a government system on our island, because I mean, it doesn't matter. We've all seen this now. It doesn't matter what party you get in. Doesn't matter what your beliefs of your family were in the past generations. It does not matter. Everything is going downhill here because nobody's thinking for themselves. Got to start thinking for yourself and realizing there's a better way to do things than this party politics that's been going on forever. Yeah.
Party politics is popular politics, and sometimes things that need to be done aren't so popular. But when it's majority rules, majority makes the decision, at least it's fair. We may not
That's
like
right.
it. It's done in a way that is democratic, and it is done so that it supports the public opinion, not goes against public opinion. And that's what needs to change here, is the public needs to be able to have more than a voting say. After they voted and we're done past that, they close the doors and your opinion no longer matters.
That's right.
So that's what's going to change. Anyways,
that has to change. That's the part that does have to change. If that doesn't change, then everything else is just fluff. Everything people are saying is just blah, right?
I'll say that they're going to, they lead up to saying what we want to hear until we cast our vote. And then once the vote is cast and they're in their position, they don't care what we have to say. And for me, I will be live streaming. Everything would be live streamed, just like how I live stream a lot of things. Well, once I would go into office, it would be on. And if they didn't like that, don't vote for me, because that's the platform I'll be running on. Will be complete transparency. Matter of fact, I plan on having a clear garbage bag as my outfit when I go in. See right through my grays. Don't care. But yeah, it's nothing like we've ever seen before. But we'll finish this article off, Marie. And I think
Rob isn't going to like that, Jen.
Oh, well.
All right. Okay, so all right, we'll get back to this there. The funding will allow New Dawn to build a community solar garden and update related energy and heating infrastructure at Pine Tree Park Estates. It will also support the Verschuren Center's role as a project manager and the collection and analysis of data to inform and improve similar projects in the future. The solar garden, yeah.
Collection and analysis of data. Now,
I love it.
Put a price on collection and analysis of data. Who decides who's going to pay how much money? I mean, they probably said, well, 1.2 million went for collection and, for analysis of data. Like these are ways that they put in words so that they can put a bill for somebody, a buddy of theirs, no doubt, to get a big fat check for doing almost nothing. Because what do they have? What's tangible? What's the deliverable at the end of this project? Other than heat, where's all these other things? You won't even find a solar garden. let alone a solar panel.
Well, I'm really having a hard time with that too, because like I really thought that there was something up there, and now I was told no, there's not. I'm like, what? Why? Why not? Well, apparently it was a little bit of a wet season for it. I'm thinking, wait a minute. Solar panels are all over the world. Are you trying to tell me that if you've got soggy ground, you can't put solar gardens up? I think people have worked around that before, buddy. But anyway.
We can pave our roads in snow and slush and sleet and rain, but we can't install a solar panel that's going to equip for all weather. Come on. Could have come up with a better excuse than that. Anyways.
Well, they don't even bother. That's the thing, right? They basically treat us like we're stupid, and that's what the problem is, really. All right. So as the first net zero energy community in Nova Scotia, this collaboration will serve as a model for clean growth across Atlantic Canada. Well, I hope this isn't serving as a model, because look at how you can get money and not do anything with it.
Yeah. The model is just talk about it, make the plan and project sound, feasible. And once the money's in, no one's going to remember that project, because everybody's got bad memories in Cape Breton.
That's right. As long as there's a news article out there about it, everybody assumes it's already done. Everybody thinks it's already been taken care of. No, these articles are basically out there, like just to fill in your mind, to make you believe things are being done or ever going to be done here. They're not with the same people running the show. I mean, it's been benefiting them greatly to not have us succeed in anything. And if you guys can't see that, I don't know what to tell you. I just don't know what to tell you.
So Chambers is. So Jean Chalmers, who had the email exchange with Marie, is the head of renewable energy program manager at the Verschuren Center for Sustainability and Environment. All right, so that's all that I wanted to add into there. Continue.
Yeah, just to make sure that they knew who that was. Yes, okay. So Canada's Strengthened Climate Plan proposes steps to deliver emissions reduction across the country. These initiatives will help to make the places we live and gather more affordable by cutting energy waste. The Government of Canada will continue to bring forward new and enhanced climate action measures to exceed our 2030 target and achieve net zero emissions by 2050. Today's announcement demonstrates how investing in Canadian innovation and community development is an investment in the future.
Yeah.
Quote,
So they're going to have new and enhanced climate action measures. So we're going to have new and enhanced solar panels. We'll have new and enhanced heat pumps, new and enhanced windmills. How are they going to make them any newer or more enhanced than what technology already exists out there? Are they going to use some space materials that we haven't had access to?
Oh, please don't give them any ideas, Janet. Now we'll see an article next week saying that they're going to use space age material, and that's why we've got to raise the taxes on the citizens of Cape Breton, because
because we're going to use space age materials. All right.
So the quotes they have here, as we continue to address the impacts of COVID-19, the Government of Canada is laying the groundwork for an inclusive recovery for all Canadians, one that supports innovative clean technologies and growing the greener economy. That's the Honourable Melanie Joly, I think is her name, Minister of Economic Development and Official Languages and Minister responsible for ACOA.
Oh, God.
The government of, I got to remember this name, Jolie. I know it's Jolie. I think in the back of my mind, I remember hearing her name, so it's ridiculous. I don't know who this person is. I'm ashamed of myself.
Look how they've got her Honorable Minister of Economic Development and Official
Languages and Minister responsible for ACOA.
Well, it's no wonder she can't keep track of what's going on. I mean, she's got.
I'm ashamed that I don't know who she is with all these titles.
They feel like they're title masters over there. Title masters that accomplish nothing. Anyway.
Very well. Okay. The Government of Canada supports innovative projects that reduce emissions and create good jobs. Today's announcement highlights some of the important work that organizations like the Verschuren Center are doing to help build a cleaner and healthier future. This kind of leadership and strategic project, such as the one announced today, will help Canada exceed its target and achieve net zero emissions by 2050. The Honourable Jonathan Wilkinson, Minister of Environment and Climate Change. That was his quote, right? Another quote.
Imagine all this money that they're pouring out of Canadians' pockets with this carbon tax. Everything is generated to have a greener Canada, when in all actuality, we've been seeing these funds and these technology places in existence now for at least a decade in some cases or longer. And what have they proven and given to us? If there was a measurement given so that they could, see on a scale of money that was sent out to these companies, what was done, an actual finished project, you know, from start to end, what they've accomplished, who it really helped. I mean, there's a feasibility study that I could actually get behind when I'm seeing where the
Right.
money's actually been. How
That
long
that study I would be behind 100%. Absolutely.
do that study, because if the wrong person gets in and goes against the wrong business, well, then they're out of business forever. And that's
You know what? This reminds me of when the council and mayor paid for the guy to search how could they find money, how could they save money as council and mayor, and he said, we could reduce the council members, and they're like, nope, get out. But we paid for that study, all of you. Like, we paid for a study for them to say, yeah, we didn't like the outcome of that study, we're not going with that.
And they're never going to hire him again. They made sure his name was put through the chain to never ever use that man again, because he's an independent critical thinker, and we don't want that. We want
That
somebody.
poor guy. I forget what his name is now. It eludes me, but I'm seriously, that poor guy. I hope he has a better job now somewhere else where he doesn't have to deal with bullshit artists at the. Anyway, okay. So Jaime Batiste, Member of Parliament for Sydney Victoria's quote: "We have to be looking generations ahead when mapping out our region's economic and ecological legacy. A low-carbon economy is essential to achieving Nova Scotia's goals for clean growth to fight climate change. And I'm proud that this visionary collaboration between a social enterprise and research institute is happening right here in Cape Breton."
Mm-hmm. Oh, those things have been happening right here in Cape Breton since steel plant. Okay.
Right.
And they've done nothing but escalated ever since there, and just figured out more ways for more study buddies, more grants, and everything else in between on how to keep money from developing our actual community.
Well, like I said, right, it is a business in itself to keep people poor. Okay, now more than ever, technology is changing the way rural Nova Scotia businesses and researchers can participate in the clean tech economy and engage with one another. I'm always proud to see the progressive work that comes out of New Dawn and the Verschuren Centre, and I know these organizations will be extremely successful in their collaboration. Mike Callaway, Member of Parliament for Cape Breton Canso. Erica Shea, President CEO of New Dawn Enterprises. Her quote: "Partnering with the Verschuren Centre on this initiative is going to fundamentally change Pine Tree Park, the former Department of National Defence radar-based property. It will eliminate greenhouse gas emissions for 28 residential units and 5 community buildings. It will make energy costs both more affordable and more predictable. With one of the largest solar installations in Nova Scotia powering the homes and buildings at Pine Tree Parks, what other green or sustainable interventions do we want to make to create a modern, healthy, vibrant community here?" Holy cow.
It always sounds good. It reads well and it sounds great to the ears, but I want to see the finished product.
I just like to see, but yeah, like I don't need any more words or fluff or emails back, unless the email is telling me, why don't you come out and see what we've done? Why don't you come and take a look? I'm still waiting to hear back from Tartan Downs.
Right. And that's another story for another day.
Yeah, don't get me started. That's the Dingwall bull. Anyway, so Dr. Beth Mason, CEO, Verschuren Centre for Sustainability in Energy and the Environment. "This project brings immediate benefit through energy savings from the combined retrofit and renewable combination to those tenants of Pine Tree Park. Additionally, it paves a path to decarbonizing communities in a manageable and affordable manner, creates direct local employment, and contributes to reducing in Nova Scotia's greenhouse gas emissions." Who out there is working on this?
Yeah.
Anybody out there, you got a job there? Tell me, please.
28 residents. How many of you have had your light bills decrease since this wonderful project came in with your instant, immediate benefit?
I wonder.
We'd like to know. So please reach out to us and let us know about your immediate benefit that this program that has been July.
I would like to hear from any of the residents from there. If anybody out there is watching, tell them please contact me or Janet. Let us know, like, what do you see going on out there? Because we're, when you get over $1 billion for a project, you expect to see something other than an email saying, well, success is relevant. What did he say? Success is I don't know.
Yeah, how you're measuring your success.
Right.
Yeah. So that was a nice way to say, well, it all depends on who's taking accountability. Well, we are Dean Chalmers. We'd like to know exactly what has been done, and to date, when is the finished, an end date on this project. So that's the show for today, guys. Sometimes we don't get a show out because we have to wait to compile the information that we use. And sometimes it's not what we're looking for. So we don't want to present something half-ass. All right. So thanks for tuning in. Share this feed if you think it was something that is interesting. And other than that, we'll see you next week. Have a great day, guys.
See ya.